Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOCast, our retry. We're having technical difficulties, but we are back. Season 4, Episode 9, Texas Hoops is in Fuego. We had an incredible weekend of basketball last weekend, and we're here to recap it all. But before we do that, let's talk house cleaning. The Gaso Fast Break, subscribe. We're doing something new this weekend. We're going to do a live blog between me, Lyndon, and Mike, and we're going to be throwing out a lot of fun, just fun stuff. We're going to be ourselves. It's just going to be a little bit loose. It's not going to be as I guess buttoned up as Twitter. So make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter for that. And then that's where we house all of our team rankings, our 25 rankings, our 26 rankings. That's where the 27 rankings will be in February. So subscribe, and then make sure you're following us on Twitter. Recruiting Simplified Patreon, that's going strong. I have another college coach interview coming up, which I have been proven to be very helpful to some of the families that are subscribed to that. So that's been good. And then showcase and bracket schedules on our Great American Shootout website. Blue also tweeted this out. This is a great resource for media, college coaches, high school coaches that want to go scout, everybody.
It's pinned right now on our the top of our Gaso account. So go check that out.
Doing that. A couple hoops will return soon. Blue is currently on the road getting stuff done. And then it's media season. It's a fun season. It's evaluation season. We will be everywhere. So make sure you are tapped in. Let's jump to our first segment. It's going to be a roundtable segment. Thoughts about running events. You know, we run events on our own, and we try to pull stuff that is good. We see stuff at the events that, we think that could improve upon, that we could use for help. And I just want to talk about event running. You know, we've seen a lot so far, so I just wanted to kind of get y'all's 2 cents. Michael, I'm going to pass this one to you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like especially with these high school events, is I like to see the pulse of the event from the in-house event itself. There's so many media people out here that, I'm a video guy, so I respect all the kids and young adults that pick up a camera, but a lot of it's about the hype and things like that. You don't really get the true picture. So a lot of times when I'm bouncing around events throughout the weekend, I like to just kind of see what's going on from the event's perspective, whether that's just final scores after every game on social media with some top scores. Because a lot of times we'll see a game and we'll see a kid and be like, yeah, I liked them a lot. And then you'll go back and scroll through the social media and they had 2 or 3 more games that event that were just as well. So it kind of puts a bow on the weekend for somebody like me and us in general that bounce around to a lot of events, see a lot of different players and teams. So when you have that stability from an in-house event, I've been at 2. Cowtown did a great job, Alamo City as well, past 2 back-to-back weekends. That's really refreshing for somebody like me that wants to get a real clear picture of what's going on, even if I'm not there for the full duration.
Lyndon?
Yeah, and this one really goes with just last weekend where I was. First of all, shout out to Jeff and Clutch Shots. Shout out to Jay and the team at the Noble. But it makes it a lot easier for a guy like me. I'm not a video guy, and I don't have to annoy Mike to like, hey, can you get me that clip? Can you get me that clip? Can you get me that clip? Because they had 6 different angles set up all over the gym of every single highlight play that you needed to get. So instead of just me having to take a picture at the end of the game and saying this guy played well, I can actually use clips from all over, find the best angle, all that stuff that actually articulate my points for me for what I'm going for as an eval. So, with that being said, that's the next level. And that clutch shots, it's a shout out to those guys and the usage of that, because that makes it so much easier for me as an evaluator and as somebody who is on Twitter showing these clips to everybody else about what I actually mean when I say, Takari Spears killing it, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Facts.
No, that's good. It was very helpful for me as well. I'm going to go with digital rosters. Man, I love when the rosters are digital.
Facts.
Yeah, on Tuesday and Wednesday, I am uploading those things to my Kindle Scribe, and I'm ready to utilize them. I don't have an iPad. It's basically a dumb phone if you're comparing it to an iPhone or an iPad. But I do that on purpose. I like to be able to focus during the games. I don't need Twitter on my phone. I don't need Twitter on my Scribe. I want to focus on the game itself, and I try and do a blind evaluation the first half by just charting and seeing who's playing well, who's flying around on defense, and then I'll go back and look at the rosters at halftime and that's a freshman. That's a little different. That puts that into context, and I just kind of have a rhythm to what I do, and when I have the rosters there, it makes it super simple than just saying, oh, number 10 for Team X is playing well. Like, it just makes it simple. So rosters, I'm very passionate about them.
If you see Mass with his tablet in his hand in the bleachers, don't. Hey, he ain't about that talking action. Hey, stay away. He's locked in.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, I try to be locked in, but all the events I've been going to have the digital rosters. It's been really, really helpful. And go ahead.
See, I'm new school with everything except that. I need paper rosters. So like shout out Cowtown. Yeah, I just have to look, and so I can circle things. That's the only place that I like paper in general. I don't even know how to write anymore. I'm typing so much. But yeah, I love just knowing, like, I know Mass's process. So like even when we're at Gasos, I know like what type of zone he's in. The digital rosters for Mass is a big deal.
It's big. I was quick on taking this one first on the write up. Okay, let's move on to players. That one performance. What is the performance of the weekend that you just couldn't get out of your head? Michael, I'm going to pass it to you. You were down in San Antonio.
I mean, at some point, he's going to get his own emoji when I'm talking about him, but that's Sun Jinkle, 2027 of Austin St. Michael's, in a semifinal game where Austin St. Michael's played against Alvin Shadow Creek. It was going to be a dogfight, and for Sun, who's been at our next gen showcases and showed the finesse to his game, the ability to hit shots, he did that and mixed it up on both ends with physicality in a physical big boy game. Led the game in scoring and just hit big shots every time St. Michael's was up and Shadow Creek made a run. It was Sun making really, really loud plays. And in a game where Bo Ogden goes down with an injury, they needed Sun to really step up. They have a lot of talent and depth on that team, but I think it was his shot making and his approach in that game that took him to the top and took him to the championship game the following day at the Alamo City Classic.
Those are some of those make or break games as sophomores. Like, you kind of see what someone's made of, like because he had, it's an inflection point. You can go one way or the other, and he clearly took the route. Like, you were texting us about him, and you're like, this dude, he's a player. He's ready to take that next step. Lyndon.
It's kind of a cop out because I get to hit two guys in one eval, but the number one player in 26 against the number two player in 26 Friday at the Noble. And we really saw the upside of Austin Gooseby, his ability to move side to side, just effortlessly create his own shot. And he was making them from all over the place in the first half. But as the game wore on and we started to see, adjustments being made in game and different guys in different roles, Dakari Spear, his just ability to take over and control everything just stood out in a huge way. And it's not just, that's two very good ranked 5A teams that we got to see, but it was the fact that he's on balance, he makes the right reads, and he still can become a game breaker with his athleticism in the open court. That's a guy who's just a no-brainer that I would sell to any college coach in the country if they were to call me,
Love it. I'm going to go with Jackson Thompson, Green Hill. This kid is a baller, and we saw him all summer. And when you play with JL3 in that 16U group specifically, had tons of really, really good guard play. But then when you get to see Jackson kind of doing his thing with Dylan Watt, and it's kind of their show, you just see how talented of a scorer he is on a consistent basis. He has every shot in his bag. The shot making he gets wherever he wants. The shot making was on full display, as I mentioned earlier. He has so much speed, and he just makes scoring look easy. Like, there's nothing difficult about it. And, I'll be honest, like, I'll credit Birdville. They did a pretty good job, like, making life tough on him, but it just didn't matter. Jackson was in one of those zones, and when he's in one of those zones, it's over for most. And just a kid I love seeing. Like, obviously it translates when you're playing on the EYBL, but then when it's kind of your turn, it's your show a little bit more. Boy, he could have gone bonkers. I mean, or he did go bonkers, and it could have been even more. Special performance, and big fan of Jackson Thompson. Michael, our favorite segment of the week, the Celsius Dew of the weekend.
Yeah, I think we're going to just keep this every week. Celsius Dew of the weekend. Basically what that means is, Mass, you explain it.
Yeah, just like when you're tired, the fluorescent lights getting to you. It's just like some guy wakes you up. It's like, okay, I needed that. And honestly, we're not sponsored by Celsius, but we probably should be. I'll make a call. We'll see what happens. But who is that guy of the weekend for you, Michael?
So for me, Celsius dude of the week, a lot of times at Gasos in the summer, it's that 2 p.m., 3 p.m. on a Saturday pick me up because we've been in the gym for almost 30 hours by then with Friday and Saturday. But when you walk by a window at the Alamo City Hoops Classic and it's dark out at 5:30, you're like, wow, is it 9? What time is it? I'm confused, but I'm tired. Shout out Michael Best. Woodrow Wilson versus Wagner was a heck of a game. Wagner won that game, but it was Michael Best who was like, oh my gosh, he's giving Wagner fits. And I talk about Wagner a ton in our newsletter tomorrow that will be dropping. But right now, this is Michael Best's segment and his ability to score at all three levels. And Wagner was throwing the kitchen sink at him defensively, trying to guard him from half court. And then once they found out he could shoot the ball, they pressed up on him. He got to the rim. Made a lot of different plays. I think he finished with 28, but that wasn't even the highest point score of his weekend. But one of those 2026 is that Lyndon, I know you were pretty loud about him all summer. You happened to catch more of his games this summer than we did. But for him, for that Woodrow Wilson team, when you play them, you're going to have to figure out a way to stop Michael Best, and it's not the easiest.
Love it. Lyndon?
And for me, it wasn't really a Celsius. It was a Celsius game more than it was a singular Celsius performance because that Allen dynamic game was just, from the jump, it was different. The energy in the gym, everything was different, just how both teams were locked in. And the guy for me who really just kind of took over in his spot was Antoine Shannon. I mean, this is a guy, he's got the length, he can handle, he can defend, really like what I saw from him on the defensive end. But he also came up with some of those big momentum swinging plays. He had a big putback dunk late in the first half. He hit some timely threes. He came up with big plays. And, when you have the depth that Allen has and you're getting that kind of production from Antoine Shannon, that makes them an even, stouter number one seed or number one ranked team in 6A. And they made a statement this weekend.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. That play in particular where he dove on the floor, saved it from going out of bounds to get the steal, and then there was a layup and it kind of hung on the rim for a second. He comes out of nowhere and just puts it right back. I was like, okay,
electric.
Love Antoine. He had an unbelievable summer. Came to some Gasos and really put on there. I'm gonna go with David Ballarain from Hallsville. Hallsville, a little bit away from the Metroplex. So when these teams come into Dallas, I prioritize them. And I made sure to go see Hallsville. This dude is a productive, athletic monster. He's very intelligent. He was passing the ball from the high post, and he was just rebounding the heck out of the ball. He has a bright future ahead of him, and it's a 2027 you need to know about. Every college in the country needs to know about him with the size, stature, athleticism, the way he moves his feet. He's coming along. Made 5 of 6 free throws. I always think that's a pretty darn good indicator of a big. If he's got some touch, he's making free throws as a sophomore. This guy is coming along, and of course, Southern Assault has another one. Typical.
Yep.
Let's talk stock rising teams. A team that's unranked, but caught your eye, who we might have to consider in the next rankings. Who is that for you, Mike?
Before we get into this segment, one thing I know, if Blue's watching or listening, right now we have like 180 people looking, and usually when Blue's on, it's like 300 or so. So he's gonna be very cocky about the fact that hey, the audience misses Blue. As far as stock rising teams, kind of this segment I built out was not necessarily one that was a team that's ranked, but I mean it's early in the season, so anything with rankings in general, like we tell teams all the time, you don't like it, just go win. And this team played in big level games, almost beat Faith Family in overtime. That's Fort Bend Austin. That first round game or that second round game versus Faith Family went into overtime. And you're just looking around at that team, well coached, a lot of energy, and just a lot of guys that fed off that energy that were making plays. Now, a lot of their players on their team, it's an elite name team. So I'm not going to be able to pronounce all the last names, but starting with Cameron Warren, Sasheen, Shyam is another one, Kason Scipio, and Matthew Nora. I messed all those names up, but
I think
real
you did all
dudes.
Right. Low key, I think you did all right.
Well, I'm not saying Sasheen. I'm not even going to try that. And then Cheyenne Patel, Kason, And then Matthew Nora. Matthew Nora is a freak athlete at 6'3". I mean, built like a tank. Went up there and was dunking on dudes. But just the energy they brought in every single game, played steel to a high level matchup as well. When you look at the depth they have in that team, they're going to be an issue because they play well. They don't care about who's ranked, where. They just go out there and play, and they want to play against the best. So shout out to Fort Bend Austin. Really caught my eye this weekend at the Alamo City Classic.
Lyndon, give yours because
Yeah.
I really agree with yours.
Yeah, and there were several teams who are ranked that made big waves. Frisco Panther Creek and Sabian McGraw had a really good game in front of me. Jaden Romnanon with Flower Mound Marcus had another big game. He's been putting up numbers.
Had a 15-point first quarter in front of me. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, he's the real deal. But this one, they are ranked in 6A, but Louisville really kind of made a statement in that Cedar Hill game Friday. They've got a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of prospects on that team. And even without A.J. McPeters, who's out injured, they just get it done. They're a buzzsaw. They're flying all over the place. They've got the chemistry figured out, whatever Coach Martin's doing to figure out how to get 8-9 guys actual minutes and making big contributions needs to be studied in schools. But these guys are, they just get after you. They have so many ways to score. They can throw it inside with some of their bigs. They've got guards who can shoot, and they just rebound so hard. They're just relentless, and I was really impressed with what I saw from them on Friday.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I'm going to go with Prosper over at the Prosper ISD Classic. They're a team that's not ranked, but they're 7-1. I think 7-1. I read. They got a big game tonight against Memorial. Their only loss is to Flower Mound Marcus by 3, in which Romnanon had 37 and Shields had 34. Jaden Shields is due for a big bump in the rankings. He's averaging 30 points a game. Blake Lettner, their big, isn't even playing right now. And they're just balling, like averaging 30 points a game. They played a really, really, really sound Denton Braswell team and beat them without Blake by 10 and just controlled the game from start to finish. Shot making galore. Just this Prosper team, coached by Scott Imes, really good, really, really good. And they're I saw some places where they weren't even picked to make the playoffs, which, boy, that team's not making the playoffs. Holy cow. But yeah, just, man, I'm really interested to see how they fare tonight versus Frisco Memorial. That should be a great game. Let's move into another segment. We get to talk about a lot of these guys, and then we get to see how they actually are doing at the next level. So let's talk some Texas Hoopers balling at the next level. Mike, I know you are so pumped to talk about this dude because he is a bad boy. He's the definition. Yeah. He would have been all over acting bad if this show had started then.
Austin Benigni is the definition of acting bad. Navy, the Naval Academy. And one thing about Austin is he just needed an opportunity. And hey, he didn't go out to Navy to do boot camp, man. He went out there to get busy. And that's what he's doing. He's getting busy. 24 points per game. And I'm not talking about he's not on the prep squad or that's D1 Navy. 24 points a game, 5 assists a game. I mean, getting to it. And I know the defenders at the D1 level are just as pissed as they were at the high school level because he's just going by dudes, doing whatever he wants at the rim. I mean, he's doing the same thing in high school, and that's just he found
that Hezzy is killing people in college. His Hezzy's
the Hezzy with the little foot kick. You're like, oh, what's happening? And then he's gone. Just so happy for a kid like that constantly throughout high school. I mean, chips were stacked against him, being a smaller guard like that. But you get your opportunity, you go make the most of it. Maybe he got a couple extra reps at boot camp, and he got. But great to see at the D1 level for him putting up the numbers he is. Really proud of the kid.
Lyndon.
Yeah, and if you've watched a Texas game or just turned it on anything talking college basketball, they're talking about is Trey Johnson, and for good reason. I mean, the thing that I've always loved about his game when I started watching him is it doesn't matter how he's defended. The shot's either going in or it isn't. Like you could have 3 guys with 5 hands in his face. Sometimes that shot's going to go in. It does not even matter. And he's doing that to the best defenders in the country, putting up crazy numbers, talking about top 3, talking about top 1 pick in next year's NBA draft. I mean, it speaks for itself. He's that level of player, and I'm glad that it's somebody that we got to get familiar with during his time at Lake Highlands.
And I love that the state got to see him, down in San Antonio. Like, I think that's really special when the best player in the state or, of the class is put on display for the whole world to see him to be like, oh yeah, this dude's nice, which he is. I'm going to go with two guys. I'm going to cheat. Aiden Richard at Holy Cross. He played at San Antonio Reagan, hit a buzzer beater the other night. And just being a freshman, being on the court at the end of the game in a Division I game against New Hampshire, drilled a three-pointer. It was just really cool to see. And clearly, if you're on the floor that late in the game, you've already made a sizable impact of who you are as a player. The next, Jalen Lowe, just one of my favorites that I've ever evaluated. And he just, he could give you 25 or he could give you a triple-double like he did last night. And talk about a wicked first step. My gosh. Yeah. If Pitt's ever on TV, tune in because Jalen Lowe's hooping. No,
absolutely.
All right. Must-see. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah. I was going to just move into this segment. The must-see games this weekend. With must-see games this weekend, I think let's start real quick. The fact that we're all going down to the Texas Invitational at Pasadena. Mass, do you want to just kind of break down and summarize that conversation on that planning yesterday and kind of how we're doing things? Because, we're going down there. And the one thing about this is that this is work for us. Yeah. And so it's not just like for somebody like me that's like, I just kind of want to maybe go see no, I have a schedule built and I'm going to see as many teams as possible. So kind of talk about that real quick.
You have to with this event, okay? Because it's actually set up great for evaluators because it's 2 games and then a girls game, 2 games and a girls game. So you get 6 games in a day. So you're fresh. 6 is about the game where like you feel very, very locked in. You get beautiful breaks. But basically yesterday it's played over 6 or 7 gyms. Yeah. It's like,
and
it's
just chaos.
It's a grid. And, you have to see specific guys and specific matchups. So, we got 3 cars going down there. I'm flying down there on Thursday morning, and I'm picking up a rent car. Y'all are splitting up, getting a rent car. And, we even planned it down to where we're meeting during the girls' game because they have the best hospitality rooms. They got all the chefs in there from their school, and they're like making you omelets every meal. They're making you like minestrone. Like it's insane. So we got it all planned out, but it took us a smooth 45 minutes to get there. So let's talk about who we're actually going to be watching. And some of just the important matchups. Texas Invitational, they've claimed this is the determiner of who makes a run at state. Like this will tell a lot. And it's been this way for 25, 30 years since Sam started, honestly. So who are some of the games that you're really looking forward to seeing? Michael, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Yeah, Dickinson and North Crowley. It's Dickinson, North Crowley, and Ridge Point in a pool. That's a gauntlet of a pool right there.
My gosh.
And they're not giving North Crowley, the 2-time defending champions of this event, they're like, hey, if you're going to go 3-peat, you're going to make it tough. But yeah, Dickinson, North Crowley, tough on tough. Isaac Hayes versus David Chong. Something has to give there with 2 programs that have a true identity are going to meet down there. And that's just must watch. I have no idea how that's going to go, but I know Dickinson is going to be playing home court feel there, and they're ready for whatever smoke North Crowley's bringing. North Crowley's coming down really, really hot with some high-level wins so far this season.
Lyndon?
Yeah, it's one that I've kind of highlighted as 2 kind of dark horse teams that they can use this weekend to really make themselves a statement going forward, and that's Denton Geyer against Summer Creek. With Summer Creek's guards and their ability to get up and down, and then going against the experience, the talent of Jordan Lowry, Tyler Copes, those guys with Denton Geyer. This is something that I think this game specifically, if this determines the pool or not, could be something that we can look back to and say, oh, Summer Creek's ranked 16 now. This is kind of where it started. Or Geyer moved up to X ranking. It's one of those games where I like the contrast of styles. I like the energy that's going to be at this game, and I'm looking forward to it in the late night window of the Texas Invitational.
Yep. I'm going to go with Pearland versus Lake Travis. Adrian Mathis is such a fun watch. He's such a skilled point guard, knows how to play with a fun, really good group of Lake Travis players alongside with him. And then on the other side, Pearland, a kind of an up-and-coming program, Byron Bibbs, Devin Brown, Avis Glover. They've got some pieces to really set. They're all 26s to kind of set this thing in motion to make a good push this year and then kind of carry that momentum into next year. I think this game will start off the event for me great. from an evaluation point, just to kind of see where these guys are at and kind of how they match up. So, to be honest, we didn't mention Brennan. We didn't mention the Colony. Those are some other there's like
Owen,
there's like 10
Colony, the
Iowa
Colony,
Colony.
Iowa Colony is going to be the great thing
There you
about this is that like Fridays, like these matchups and the way the bracket is, there's just so much parity involved that like there's going to be some insane games coming up. But yeah, we're just kind of talking about pool play here. But there's we're already looking at paths of what could happen, and there's. Fort Bend Marshall's down there. I'm excited to see them as well. There's just, we have a list built out, and we're going down there to cover it like Gasso covers events. So with 3 of us
teams, and we plan on catching most of them. So, that's in our realm of possibility. But just to show you the gravity of this event and why 3 of us are taking the time to go down there, this really quite possibly Allen, this might possibly be the road to state. The winner of this could very well win state. So really fun. We're really excited to head down there. Make sure you're following us on all socials. Mike, you are doing an Acting Bad soon.
Yeah,
not live.
Yeah,
nope, I'm not gonna put that on you.
I just like you do it with Recruiting Simplified, like just segments. So I can just like straight up film a segment, put the video on there, and keep it moving. More stuff's coming. I promise.
Oh man, you could get way more like hot takey in the 30-second realm, and just kind of let it linger out on social.
Let it loose. Yeah, facts.
I kind of want to join that. All right, well, thanks for joining us, the GASOcast, and make sure you're following us. Make sure you're Substack Fast Break follower, and we will get you some fun content this weekend. But as always, thanks for spending your time with Gasso, and we'll see you next time.